Everyone, Ladislav Maurice from thewanderinginvestor.com. So today I'm in the outskirts of Kyiv. There's a beautiful monastery right behind me, and I'm going to be spending the day with Alex. He's my buyer's agent here in Kyiv. He specializes in residential property for individual investors and does renovations and the like. But before going to check out one of the properties he's really recommending, he's going to go swimming because he's a professional swimmer. He swam across the Gibraltar Strait, and he's preparing to go swim across the channel in between France and the UK. So part of his process is to get used to cold water. So here we are. I'm kind of freezing, and he's gonna go jump in some 4 Celsius water for his training. So let's just go see that, and then we'll go check out some real estate. Yeah, it's really cold. So here we are. There's a frozen lake, and Alex is going to jump in here. So this is traditionally where Christian Orthodox come and get their baptism. So the water is 4 Celsius degrees. So Alex is getting ready. Alex, how do you feel?
I feel great. We can look the water temperature. Over here. It shows 5 degrees.
5 degrees.
Yeah.
All right. This is it.
Oh.
Your buyer's agent, your real estate buyer's agent in Kyiv, Ukraine. Damn. How does it feel?
Great. But it's a little bit windy today, so I need some time to adapt.
Damn. And something very funny just happened. Yesterday I was with John from the Kyiv Real Estate Recovery Fund, and he took me to one of his offices, which was on the top floor, so a penthouse office over 3 stories that was giving him yields of 19%. And today I'm with Alex. So he's my independent buyer's agent. He's my guy when I look at real estate here. And I was asking him to look at high yielding residential property and projects. And so we've been to a few apartments, and then he told me, look, there's this one that's really interesting. The numbers really add up. We should go check it out. So I was like, sure. And he brings me to the very same building that I went to with John yesterday. So in Kyiv, a city of 4 to 5 million people, my 2 real estate experts who don't know each other at all, my 2 real estate experts in Kyiv have taken me to the very same building. John's office was on the 20 to 23rd floors, but Alex's apartment is on the 14th. Right, so this is the apartment. I mean, clearly a lot of work needs to be done. But the views are quite nice. So imagine on a sunny day. over. Large apartment, 137 square meters. And there seems to be a little balcony as well. The windows are in good shape. Yeah, this is nice. Alex, thank you very much for your time today.
Welcome.
So we went through quickly, walked around the apartment. Can you tell us about the size of the apartment and the price?
Okay, the size of apartment is 142.5 square meters, and the initial price per square meter is $1,300.
Now, you're saying initial price per square meter, or do you have any...
Yeah,
you seem pretty confident that there's room for wiggle here?
Yeah, maybe it could be bargained to $1,200 per square meter.
Okay.
But now prices in Kyiv a little bit increasing each month, so it needs to be bargained.
Okay. And so your plan for this apartment would be to cut it into 4 studios in order to maximize rental income, correct?
Yeah. Because all the windows look on the same side, and it's 14th floor, it's nice view, and it's downtown. So the maximum rental will be only if you will split it on 4 apartments.
And so what would be the renovation cost per square meter to turn this empty, this shell, if we can put it this way, into 4 different studios?
It will be approximately something like $600 per square meter, because we need 4 kitchens, 4 bathrooms, and so on.
Okay. And so what would be the total cost of this project?
The total cost of the project, if the prices will be bargained, it will be something like $250,000 to $160,000.
And what would be the monthly rental income that you would expect from the studios?
The expected monthly income will be something like $2,300 per 4 studios.
Okay, so we're talking of a gross rental yield of approximately 10-11%.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Now, knowing the market in Kyiv and having researched it quite thoroughly, these studios would get these prices. Often you end up paying, I mean, you're giving dollar prices, but the reality is rents are denominated in hryvnia, but that $600 would have been approximately...
It's something like 16,000 hryvnias.
16,000 hryvnias per month. So that's how it would be denominated. We're just talking in dollars to make it easier. But the reality is, when you look at the market, that is what people would be paying in this market. And if you go into older Soviet buildings, renovated apartments without much of a view, in this area, you'll be paying about 14,000 hryvnias.
14,000 hryvnias. With the same quantity of meters, or maybe less.
Yeah, because those are relatively large studios. They're approximately 35
square meters. Yeah, and people will like to live in a new building with a big hall, with a parking, 5 minutes walking distance from the metro, and other advantages.
Okay, so these numbers are very realistic. Now, when you cut it into 4 studios, one of the tricky things is, can it be legalized into 4 studios, as in can you then sell them separately, or is this more of an investment where you buy this large apartment, you cut into 4 studios, you don't bother with red tape and bureaucracy, and you just use it as a cash cow?
No, you can do it, but it will take. It's a quite kind of paperwork, and it will take some time and some money, additional money. But yes, you definitely can do it, and then you can sell each studio separately.
Okay. Like personally, I would be wary of going into a project like this, banking on being able to legally then sell the 4 studios separately. I would use this as a cash cow and then start the process to try to separate it. If it works, fantastic. It's, it's like jackpot. But if it doesn't, it's fine. Like I wouldn't go in there with this as my main objective because of the whole bureaucratic risk, which I find is quite real in Ukraine, especially more so when you're a foreigner. I find it tough to navigate. But I do understand that a lot of people are getting these things done. It's really often about knowing the right people who know how to, build the proper case and make sure that the application goes from desk to desk to desk at the government office. Cool.
Yeah, it's much more easier to legalize all these studios in separate apartments than if you, for example, build some additional things on the terrace or on the next floor or something else. If you sell it as a separate studios, the price per square meters can be something like $2,300 per square meter with already renovated studio.
Yeah, so purchased it at $1,300, a bit less if negotiated, then an extra $600 for the renovation. That's $1,900, and then theoretically you could flip it if you manage to get the paperwork through. But I think the main play here is having a 10% gross yield at a very reasonable cost, so less than $2,000 a square meter, in the core center of a city of 5 million people with amazing views, 4 studios with amazing views. I think this is quite an interesting selling point. And the cool thing about having 4 studios is that you always have cash flow coming through. So, like when tenants leave, etc., you're not waiting for your money because theoretically you still have another 3 that are giving you monthly cash flow. So I find this very, very interesting. Are there a lot of deals like this in Ukraine, in Kyiv?
No, there are not a lot of deals. When to make deals like that, you need to find proper apartment because it need to has windows on one side or 2 sides. Otherwise, you will lose a lot of place splitting it, and it's quite hard to find something good because approximately you will lose like 10 to 20 square meters when you will do this, and in this apartment you will lose in total 10 square meters for 4 studios from the whole place.
Okay, so quite minimal. And who would be your target market tenant?
Young people, young single people, 25, 30 years, which already earn money, but they want to live downtown renovated in a new building.
I think let's go a bit more into detail here because I understand young people. I mean, like living in the core center in a nice renovated studio with like sick views. Mm-hmm. I think every young person wants to live in such a place. But we're talking of rents of 15,000 hryvnia, 16,000 hryvnia. That's close to $600. Who can actually afford this? Because not many people make that sort of money here.
So these apartments can afford people who earn more than $1,500 per month, and there are quite a lot of people with such income. Mostly it will be people from IT sphere and people who run their small businesses and just like average managers with such income. So it's a quite big group of people who can afford it.
Yeah, because I think it's important to understand in terms of the real estate market and generally in terms of Ukraine. When you look at the headline salaries in Ukraine, they're very low. I think it's like $400 or $500 a month, or even.
No. I think the average now is like 500, But in Kyiv, we cannot measure the Ukraine in Kyiv. Kyiv is higher. Kyiv, I think it's something like 600 will be the average.
Cool. So it's 600 for the average, but the reality is that knowledge workers make a lot more. There's a big disparity in salaries, so it's not like the West, where whether you work, I don't know, doing a menial job or you're a university professor, there's not that big of a difference. Here there is a big difference in terms of salaries, and there's a whole class of like IT people, because there's a lot of IT talent in Ukraine. Let's not forget, it's the former Soviet Union, so people are good with like engineering, maths, etc. The schools are very good when it comes to STEM, and they're earning very competitive salaries. So many of them are earning $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, living in a low-cost city, and they don't want to go anywhere else. They're happy living in Ukraine. They don't aspire to go live in Berlin and earn the same sort of money and pay much higher taxes, and everything's more expensive. So there's a lot of IT people living here and making very good money. And that's also what was discussed with John's fund, which his offices target mostly the IT space. So this renovation, I know you do a lot of renovation work.
Yeah.
It's one of your main things. You do renovations here for Ukrainian clients. How long would such a renovation take?
From 5 to 6 months.
Okay, yeah, because it's quite a substantial one.
Yeah.
Okay. Great, fantastic. Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you for your time. And if you're interested in buying residential real estate in your own name here in Kyiv, in Ukraine, where such yields are possible, if you go into such projects, if you just buy a normal apartment, you might get 7 to 9% if you get someone like Alex to really look for it. But if you go into bigger projects like this, double-digit yields are possible. So feel free to get in touch with Alex directly. There's the link below. You can find out more about Alex's passions, including the swimming that we saw a little bit earlier. So Alex, thank you.
Yeah. See you.
Cheers.